The following slides outline the process for making an application for a secondary school place and give details of our admissions criteria. Lancashire County Council coordinate admissions to Year 7 for all schools, and if your child's in Year 6, you can apply for their secondary school place now at www.lancashire.gov.uk/schools. It's quick and easy to do, and you'll receive an email confirmation of your application. You need to complete the online form to show your 3 preferences for secondary schools by the 31st of October. You can contact the District Education Office for a paper copy of the form if you're unable to access it online. All Lancashire schools operate a system of equal preferences. When you complete the online form, you're asked to list your choice of schools in priority order, but we won't know which other schools you may have applied for or your order of preference. We can't see your online form, and we don't receive any paper copies. The order that you place schools is used only by the local authority when they come to finally allocate places, so that if more than one school is able to offer your child a place, you'll be allocated the one that you've given the highest priority. All we receive from the local authority is an alphabetical list of every child who has named us as one of their choices. So applications made for a place here are considered equally as if everybody has put us as their first choice. We've got to return that list of names to the local authority, giving an individual rank order to each applicant. That rank order is determined by how far each application meets our admissions criteria. We have 262 places available for admission to Year 7 next September, and we rank applications in this order. It's a statutory requirement for all schools to give priority to looked after or previously looked after children. Looked after children are those who are in the care of the local authority when the application is made and who are likely to still be in care on the 1st of September next year. Previously looked after children are those who were adopted or subject to a residence or special guardianship order immediately following having been in care, and they'll automatically go to the top of our list. Next are places for the children of staff at this school who have a permanent contract of employment with us. And then the criterion that will apply to the vast majority of you. Pupils are ranked using a point system, which reflects the fact that we're a Church of England school. And most of the points that can be awarded are for church attendance. The church you attend has to be a Trinitarian church, and it must be a member of one of the following recognised organisations: Churches Together in England, the Free Churches Group, the Evangelical Alliance, or the North West Partnership of Churches. The list on the left shows the most common denominations. It doesn't show individual parish church names. So, for example, you can attend any Church of England or Roman Catholic or Methodist Church. They're all members of Churches Together in England. You can check the various websites that's shown at the bottom of this slide to see details of membership. But the chances are that the church you attend, if it is a Christian church, will be a member of one of these organisations. It tends to be smaller, independent churches or groups which aren't. The 3 churches shown on the right have been approved by the governors, even though they aren't members of these recognised organisations, and we can accept applications from them. Applications for children from non-member churches or from other faiths won't receive any points for attendance at their place of worship. If you or your child attend one of these churches, you should complete our supplementary form to give us the information we need. Attendance has to be at public worship and doesn't include attendance at church by the child, where this is part of their normal school day. If you've attended more than one church regularly in the last 2 or 3 years, you'll need to complete separate supplementary forms for each one so we can get a full picture and allocate the correct number of points. Your vicar or minister must countersign your form to confirm the information that you've provided, and the supplementary forms need to be returned to us by the 31st of October. Church attendance has to be current at the time of application, and points are awarded according to the regularity and period of attendance. Of course, there have been periods recently when churches were closed because of COVID-19. We are asking clergy to assume that attendance for the closed period would have continued to be in line with the applicant's previously observed pattern when churches were open, and to include the period of closure in the overall period of attendance. This is a summary of how many points are awarded for each criterion. To give you an example of how attendance is calculated during COVID, if we assume that somebody started to go to church weekly in January 2020, and then their church was closed from March 2020 until June 2021 because of COVID. They then resumed their weekly attendance once it opened in July. Clergy must assume that the applicant would have continued to go weekly during that 15-month period of closure if the church had been able to remain open. The applicant therefore ticks the box for weekly or fortnightly attendance for between 1 and 2 years, and they'll be awarded 25 points. We want to know the attendance of either a parent or the child, not both, and not a combination of the two, and you must only tick one box on the supplementary form. You'll see that there's a maximum of 30 points for church attendance, but no points are awarded if attendance has been for less than 6 months at the point of application. If your child currently attends a Church of England primary school, they'll get an additional 10 points, and they'll get 5 points if they have a brother or sister who will be on roll here next September. We have to provide an individual rank order for all applications, so where 2 or more applicants achieve the same number of points, the straight line distance from home to school is used to separate them, those with nearer addresses being ranked higher than more distant ones. We do get a lot of inquiries from people who may live some distance away, asking how it'll affect their application, and if we're in their catchment area. We don't have a specific catchment area. The distance is only used as a tiebreaker for otherwise equal applications. So, for example, somebody living in Garstang who has 30 points would be ranked lower than somebody in Lancaster with the same number of points, but higher than anybody with 25 points, regardless of where they may live. If we receive an application without a supporting supplementary form, it will still be considered, but will be ranked using the measure of the straight line distance from home to school, as used in tiebreaker situations, although the relevant points will be awarded for siblings or church primary schools, as that information is included in the details sent to us by the local authority. Once we've considered all the applications and given a rank order to each one, we send the list back to the local authority. It's then their responsibility to try and match offers of places according to the priority of the preferences that you will have made on your common application form. If places at more than one school could be offered to a child, they'll be allocated the school prioritised highest by parents on their application. They work down our list, taking out pupils who've been offered a place at a school which has been listed as a higher preference until all our 262 places are filled. There's no way we can tell in advance how many points you would need to secure a place here. It isn't that we set a minimum figure. You're just competing against others who apply in the same year, and the number of points achieved by the last child to be admitted varies each year. If you've attended church regularly for a number of years, you will of course come high in our rank order, and you should have no problem being offered a place. But please don't think that it isn't worth applying if you can't tick the boxes for maximum church attendance. We encourage you to complete and return the supplementary form if you can have any church attendance of more than 6 months verified. Our admission policy shows that the last child to be awarded a place in the current Year 7 had 10 points and lived 1.49 miles away from the school. However, last year our admission number was 280. For health and safety reasons, we've reduced this number by 18 to 262 for next year. Had that number been in place last year, the last child to have taken up a place would have had 15 points with a distance of 2.6 miles from school. If this is the school that you most want your child to come to, you should list it as your first preference on your common application form. All schools have to operate the equal preference system, and like us, other schools will rank your application to them according to their admissions criteria, with no knowledge of your order of preference. If you fulfill the criteria of a different school that you put as your first choice, you'll be allocated that school no matter how high you are on our ranked list. So a reminder of the key dates. By the 31st of October, the common application form listing your 3 preferences for secondary school must be completed online or returned to your primary school if it's done on paper. If Ripley is one of your choices, all supplementary forms must be returned to us by the same date. The offer of a school place comes to you from the local authority, not from individual schools. Online applicants will be able to view their own offer on the system in the morning on the 1st of March. Letters will be posted by second-class post to others. Our admissions policy is available to download from the website. Go to the home page and select the Admissions tab. The policy that applies to your application is the one marked September 2022 intake. Please make sure that you download that one and its associated supplementary form, as it is slightly different from other years. If you've any queries that haven't been answered in this presentation, please send them by email to admissions@ripley.lancs.sch.uk and we'll respond to you as soon as possible.